Our succulent garden is full of architectural and dramatic plants, but few plants here have a more dramatic story than this one. It's flowering for the first time after 16 years. It's also flowering for the last time. This is a giant agave or Pulque agave, and it only flowers once. We call this a monocarp. So it stores up all that energy, produces a single flowering event, lots of flowers, lots of seeds. Those seeds rain down, and that's how the plant regenerates. The original plant, this massive rosette of pretty spiny leaves, will gradually die down over time as flowering takes place. This plant comes from Mexico, but it's also really popular in cultivation in Mexico because it's the source of Mexico's national drink, Pulque. So what happens as the flower spike starts to emerge from the center of those leaves, it's cut, and then the sap that comes out of there is harvested for up to 3 or 4 months. That's really sweet and can be evaporated to make agave sugar or nectar, but it can also be fermented to make Pulque, which is an alcoholic drink. This plant was planted here about 16 years ago. It's grown over that time into these enormous dimensions, and we just noticed probably about 3 weeks ago that it was starting the flowering stage of its life cycle. So it'll be really worth keeping an eye on this plant over the next 8 weeks or so as this enormous flower spike grows towards the sky. These spikes can get enormous, up to 14 or 15 meters high. As they reach their maximum height, they start to branch. At the end of the branches are upward facing yellow flowers rich in nectar. The whole thing has the effect of an enormous candelabra. Those nectar-rich flowers are really attractive to nectar-feeding bats in its natural habitat, but also attract birds and bees. This whole cycle will go on over 2 or 3 months, and then over time the plant will die. Super well protected with spiny hooks along the outside margins of the leaves, and also a strong spine right at the end of the leaves. So we have to be very careful when weeding around this plant. It also stores water in those really succulent leaves and has a very persistent anchoring root mass. And the roots of the plant are also useful, so they contain saponins, so roots can be used for creating soap. So all in all, a stunning plant going through both the end of its life cycle, but also the most magnificent stage of its life cycle as it moves into flowering over the coming months here in the Cacti and Succulent Garden at the Royal Botanic Garden Sydney.